Kenya Airways, the potential carrier that has been punching below its weight financially. The airline abbreviation is KQ and not KA. By the time the airline was seeking the name code at the International Airline Transport Association, the abbreviation was already signed to the Korea airline, so it ended up settling to KQ. But what ails the Kenya Airways? Pundits have argued that the expensive ticketing, frequent cancellation of flights, poor customer relations are the main reasons for Kenya Airways' downfall.
It is not, Mr. Speaker, sir, by mismanagement. It is by design that Kenya Airways has continued to make losses, because whenever it makes losses, Mr. Speaker, sir, the money is paid from the taxpayers. It is indeed a way to siphon money from Kenyans.
Members of that in Parliament have questioned the performance and the state of the Kenya Airways.
The business behavior, the institutional behavior of Kenya Airways, if it was in any other part of the world, it would face an axe, Mr. Speaker, sir.
What really pains the multinational airlines carrier like KQ that has been in Kenya's skies for not less than 46 years? The former Kenya Airways manager, Cargo and Revenue Capacity Dan Okweli, shares thought of some of the things bringing down the carrier.
It was profitable every single year that you can look at its financials. KQ went into various projects. We know the famous Mawingu project, where KQ was to have over 100 aircrafts by 2020. I remember when the CEO proposed it, not a single manager made a comment about it, and this was a multi-billion investment. We had so many new kids on the block. People were scared. Many people did not want to talk about what's happening in KQ. KQ let us sell off its slots in London. I remember that day I was called by a friend of mine who works with slots in Heathrow and asked us, are we crazy selling off our slots on the cheap? But it happened. KQ has changed a lot. KQ has a lot of potential. I remember KQ was bigger than Emirates in the 90s. I don't know if you'd believe that. So that tells you its potential.
This morning, based on some of my bookings and other things, I tried to reach the management of Kenya Airways. Mr. Speaker, if myself as a senator cannot access the management of this airline, how about those Kenyans who do not even know a worker who's on the ground? So the culture that we have there of inaccountability and lack of transparency starts from the top.
People buy fares not through travel agents, but through the internet. That's a new trend of the Generation X. But if you Google and find out flight from Nairobi to Lagos, KQ is overpriced. So these are little basic things. Unless KQ deals with the basics, it's difficult to move forward. An airline is about people. An airline is not about the smiling cabin crew. The product of an airline is its schedule. I don't know if you understand me. All the product of an airline is its schedule, the way it plans its routes. That's where Nairobi, London, the frequency in particular routes, the way it connects, the way it hubs in, the aircraft you deploy. KQ today, we have wide bodies coming into Nairobi, and we have narrow body going to Lagos. How do you expect the passenger baggage to connect? Of course, lots of baggage coming in, there'll always be a jam. So it's not surprised that, there's no surprises here that passenger baggage is always left behind. And if you leave passengers baggage behind, what do you get? Theft at the airport? Dissatisfied customers who get to a destination with no clothes? What do you expect? So KQ has many issues. But I can tell you for a fact, the issues we had in 1990, which we solved, can be solved today.
The other thing has been the use of European mercenaries to run Kenya Airways. Characters who are simply because they are white are hired and given very senior jobs in Kenya Airways, and then they are used to steal money. Some of them are residents of this country, and they should be summoned to answer. Because through the last contract that we have, where they contracted the so-called experts, they stole a lot of money through Kenya Airways. So these European mercenaries, and especially those still residing within our borders, should be called to the committee and should be held to task.
Personalization, poor leadership. This is why KQ is where it is. That's a hard truth. Can we deal and talk about the problems openly? Expatriates will not solve this problem. KQ thought by bringing in expatriates to Douala to solve the problem, throw money into the problem, will solve it. No, this problem can be solved by Kenyans. It is Kenyans who brought KQ back. I always say this every day. And it's Kenyans they're Kenyans here in this country who are capable of solving KQ's problems. When KQ was doing things right, where are these people? They were frustrated, brought down, another group set brought in, which brought KQ down. That's the hard truth. That is the hard truth.
It is not, Mr. Speaker, sir, by mismanagement. It is by design that Kenya Airways has continued to make losses, because whenever it makes losses, Mr. Speaker, sir, the money is paid from the taxpayers. It is indeed a way to siphon money from Kenyans.
Fuel hedging. Deals go wrong. There are very many issues. It has had, most of Kenya KQ operations are run by Forex. It's in Forex exchange. So it earns in Forex, it spends in Forex. The government has been very supportive of KQ. Let me say that. In our time in KQ, those subsidies were not coming in. KQ today is losing 100 million shillings a day. And that probably excludes the subsidies. But no one is addressing the cost issues. KQ is run by a board who are not aviators. How does that happen? You walk into KLM, American Airlines, British Airways. The people in that board, at least you have to have half of that board, people who understand the business, who have grown in it. Yet these people are making multi-billion decisions. Running an airline is not pocket change. One aircraft, as I just mentioned, costs $100 million. So it needs, in my opinion, we need to, KQ is at the point of its life where perhaps closure and restarting it from a blank slate. We have people with too many expectations on KQ. KQ carries too much baggage on its wings that it cannot fly. People have to get their senses. Pilots, their agreements with the labor, the CALPA, they have to make it favorable to make KQ fly. You can ask for, like crew time limits. You want more money. You want flexible crew time limits. You want. There's too much being asked from KQ for so many parties. So KQ is caught in a tight corner. So people need to sit down who understand their business and get it back. We need to do this for the sake of our children. When you look at, and KQ is bigger than what people think. I remember when I left KQ, we're running a budget of around almost 100 billion shillings. My budget alone in cargo was, at that time, was 6-8 billion, which I had in my control. to deliver, you know, that's the revenue I had to deliver, and we delivered it. So KQ can be solved. I think the issues in KQ can be addressed with a sober mind, with people cutting back, with patriotism. We can solve KQ problem.
Q, the saddest thing, and I'm sure all of us have watched it. Look at the people who work at KQ. If you look at how our passers, the air hostesses, and the individuals who worked in KQ 10 years ago and today, Mr. Speaker, even the uniforms, you look, the ones they're wearing is just shocking.
Your heartbeat rate, if your heart is beating too fast, probably you have a problem. If your blood pressure is high, symptom, if your sugar level. So in an airline, there are various things that you look at. And you can tell this airline is in a problem. There's productivity levels, the utilization of equipment. Aircraft are not supposed to be sitting on the ground. They're supposed to be flying. An aircraft sitting on the ground is losing money, terrible money. So if you look at utilization, airlines that make money have high utilization, have productivity. These are the basic things KQ needs to look at. And anyone who has been an old staff will tell you there are some buttons you touch today within KQ. You can turn it around. There's nothing new here. We can't lose 100 million shillings every day and keep quiet. 100 million can dig you over 20 boreholes. Let's say a borehole is 5 million shillings. Call it even 3 million. Actually 3 million. You can dig over 33 boreholes every day in a part of the country and solve our water problem. That's the kind of money we're losing, if you want to put it into perspective. Now, it's time we sit down as a country and think what should be done by KQ, about KQ. Because if we solve KQ, in many ways, we solve a lot of our problems in our tourism industry and the economy also. Because Rwanda has opened up to aviation. It's building a huge airport, and it's using precisely the same strategies that KQ's, the people who ran KQ thought about. It's booming, and you can see it by the numbers coming into Rwanda. The only attraction they have there are the gorillas in next to Goma. I've been there, near Lake Kivu, somewhere there. I've been there. So there are many burning issues. Very many burning issues. And these issues are all solvable. Yeah.
So it's never too late, KQ can rise again.
KQ can rise again. That I am 100% sure about. Take that to the bank.